Hey yo, it's time to roar, get loud, let's ignite. Jeremy B in the house, we keeping it tight. Every weekday at 11, we ready to ride. Lions Talk Live, come and join the pride. Waking up early, it's that morning grind. Tune in to the show, leave the troubles behind. Jeremy B's the king, with the voice like thunder. Every word he spits, it's a lyrical wonder. Got the lions around, sharp and fierce. When we hear one pride, you can't help but feel your heart pierce. Talking all the topics, keep it real, keep it raw. With a lion's mentality, we're ready for the roar. One pride, it feels right. Jeremy B bringing the heat, morning light. Every weekday at 11 we taking flight. Lions Talk Alive, yeah, we ready to bite. One pride, hear us loud. Jeremy's in the zone, making us proud.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
So, good afternoon. It is Lions Talk with Smoke and Jeremy B. I get heated over that talk because everybody wants to poo-poo the fact that they did have to add an influx of talent mid-season in 2021 for the Rams. And then they drafted better. Why? They finally had first-round picks. Let's not mitigate it. Let's not poo-poo it. They did. They finally had first-round picks 2 years in a row. MDE, welcome. And for Ricky, Moonscar, J.I., and Nick. Get it out of the way. Let's get it up there. Well, Amon-Ra basically told fans yesterday the same exact thing I told them 2 days ago. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. Growing every day. We're up to 612. Steve Bauer, welcome into the chat. Good to see you, brother. But Amon-Ra basically told fans, you know what? If you trusted Dan Campbell, you didn't trust Dan Campbell when we hired him in 21. And at the end of the season, when he took over play calling with Anthony Lynn and having Ben Johnson help him call plays, help him not call the plays. Dan Campbell called the plays. He also called the plays for the first 3 games. I think you'd be a good DJ. Thank you. I actually used to be a karaoke host / DJ for a bar for about 4 years up in Bay City from 2007 to 2011. Yeah, I know. He goes, you don't think that we did our due diligence. We brought in 7 different guys last week for interviews, and on Monday, they finally heard what they wanted to hear in Drew Petzing. And if you look at what he uses, 12 and 13-man personnel at a 30% clip. RPOs. Jacoby Brissett is not an athletic quarterback. We saw that. He's a statue. But the RPO to roll out on a play action to make it look more realistic, he made Jacoby Brissett look good. They were 7th in passing yards because they didn't have a running game. Because let's face it, by week 5, they were on their RB5 that was a grocery bagger somewhere the day before, a UDFA pickup they had to do. So, miss me on last year's stats for the rushing of the Cardinals because they didn't have a rushing attack because between the offensive line injuries and their running back injuries, they couldn't get the running game going. Look at 2024 when James Conner was healthy for 17 games in one season. He averaged 5.9 yards per carry, which was second in the league only to Derrick Henry. Exactly. I get it. But at the same time, he hired Ben Johnson. He promoted Ben Johnson in year 2 and let him take over the play calling in week 3. When we were 1-6, everybody was saying, fire them both. I remember all of this. Packers fans were making fun of us because Dan Campbell cried in the presser. Remember all that? These guys want to win so bad. He was right. They did want to win that bad. What happened? We ended up winning 9 games that year. We went 8-3 throughout the rest of the season. We didn't have back-to-back losses until this season since that point, and that was even with the Morton Salt Company and Dan Campbell play calling. And yes, the defense suffered as soon as Dan Campbell wasn't being a field general type of coach. So, and Morton did call the plays in week 9 versus Minnesota. It was that game when he refused to do anything creative, and they got in an argument on the sideline, much like when he made Anthony Lynn get out of the booth and come on the sideline, and they argued the week before the Pittsburgh Steelers game in 2021. That was the last time Lynn called plays. It was the last time Morton called plays. But up until that point, our defense was doing good. It still did good for another 2 games after. It was mediocre versus Washington, and it was phenomenal versus Philly. But the offense, we couldn't get third down. We couldn't get fourth down. It eventually cost us that game. Remember, we lost, what was it, 16-9 or 16-8 or some stupid shit like that? It was awful. Amen. I didn't want him. I said that. I said no, because that offense fell apart. I mean, granted, they lost their center for the season. They had a couple of injuries on the O-line. Rashad White was missing half a year. Mike Evans was gone most of the season. Chris Godwin disappeared for a few games. Ibuka disappeared the entire second half of the season. I am waiting to see how the schedule breaks down, but right now I still have us at 10 plus wins. It all depends on free agency and the draft. That's where I'm at, and I'm leaving it at that. And I also want to go to training camp this year when they start giving away the free tickets. I think I'm going to put in for 4 of them because I want to be able to take people with me and have people meet me there, some fellow podcasters, my favorite fans. I want you guys there if you can make it at Allen Park for training camp. It's an amazing experience. They always bring in one of the legends of Detroit. Remember, he didn't have a run game and turned Jacoby Brissett into winning games towards the second half of the season. Well, I did it prior to the 24-25 season with Grandma Trace Packer that comes into the chat. Thank you, Trick. Yes, Steve, you're the one riding locally with me. But let's not get it twisted. This is a good team that had bad O-line play, which equaled less third down conversions, which equaled less fourth down conversions. The year before, our O-line created 3 yards of separation before anybody got contact on our running back. This year, it was 0.7. Huge disparity. That's why you've seen a lower yards per carry for David Montgomery, who needed that little bit of space. No problem, brother. We'll do like we did last time. I'm going to try to make it for either a Sunday or a Monday or a Tuesday type of thing. We'll leave the night after, go get a hotel. We went to the Twin Peaks and I believe it was Auburn Hills. We had dinner, and then the next morning we went to the Pro Sports Zone because we were meeting Will Rock and Eric Rentamaki, the Uperlite guy, super fan homer. And I love him. Hey, don't get me wrong. Eric's a great guy. You'd love him if you meet him. Oh yeah, it's already hit true zero. 0 degrees Fahrenheit last night here. The wind chill was awful. It snowed again. But yeah, and the exploding tree things that is happening across North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, and Wisconsin. It's sapling because they create more sap. That's trees under 10 inches in diameter. It gets so cold that sap actually expands in the cold and puts so much pressure on the young wood that it explodes. It happens at degrees of negative 20 degrees Fahrenheit. And the polar vortex that's over that area hit it last night. Yes, exploding trees. It came across as a National Weather Service alert for that area last night. So you bundle up. You wear your long johns. You wear fleece lined pants. You double up your socks. You wear insulated boots. You wear hats. You wear gloves. You make yourself to where you can handle the climate. Living in Michigan is like sticking the middle finger up to Mother Nature as she tries to kill you. With the lake effect snows on the west side, you get a little bit of that on the east side, but nowhere near like the west side of Michigan. Uh, it's so cold that waves froze and looking like tsunamis on Lake Michigan right now up there near the Mighty Mac. I watched a video of some guys that became United States citizens legally from the UK. And every year they stay in a state because they have money. I think they already are planning on keeping him. I think Kyler Murray, the midget, the elf, whatever you want to call him, is the one that's gone in Arizona. Silicone can freeze too, yes. So she better keep her puppies warm. That's all I got to say. Same with Lonnie Anderson and many other. But I do not want the Keebler elf here. I, I don't know if we plan on keeping Kyle Allen or not. He really didn't have to do anything as a backup because Goff stays healthy. Despite getting the most sacks and the most pressures of his career, he still managed to almost at 70% completion percentage, 4,500 yards, 35 touchdowns, and 8 picks. Yes, his fumbles went up a little bit, but guess what? When you get sacked, they do. A few of those should have been put on the center and not Goff. Bad timing on snaps, missed snaps. There's a guy I like in the 7th round of the draft, maybe 6th. RBF. Good to see you, brother. But all in all, the sky is not falling in Detroit. It only is with bandwagon fans for the most part. I don't think so. I just I don't see how many of those mobile quarterbacks are still in the playoffs. How many? None. Everybody in there are mid to non-athletic quarterbacks. Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, statue. Drake May, slightly more athletic than Goff, but he isn't the guy running RPOs. Lamar Jackson, yes, I loved it too. And it's like Drew Penson came in and said what Dan Campbell wanted to see. See, I don't think Josh Allen makes us better. I the only thing he does is add athleticism, but regular season wise, he's great. But he's had postseason failures that everybody points fingers at Goff about. But at the same time, everybody points fingers at that Super Bowl that they say Goff lost. He threw one pick that wasn't a pick six. They lost 13-3. Let's talk about who cost the game there. Josh Reynolds dropped a pass in the end zone that hit him in the hand. So did Everett, the tight end. Brandon Cooks had 15 yards of separation in a clear path with a beautifully placed ball in his hands and dropped it. And then on the next drive, dropped another one in the end zone for Brandon Cooks. Funny, Brandon Cooks had 4 drops in that game versus Denver. Josh Reynolds had a drop the week before for another team that got knocked out. Big drop, key moment, and everybody blames the QB. What I will blame Josh Allen for is the 2 interceptions and the 2 fumbles he had. Oh, 100%. I've said this too. If we'd have had the O-line that could have protected Goff, I think Morton's play calling would have been better. I understand. OC is important. But again, saying that we didn't do our due diligence when we had 7 interviews before Petzing came in. And this guy impressed Dan Campbell. He impressed Brad Holmes. He impressed the staff. I'm good with it. I'm going to trust in them. Because guess what? This is the same guy that promoted Ben Johnson after Anthony Lynn got fired. So I want to see what happens. I am a wait and see guy. I always have been. I gave Morton the benefit of the doubt because Dan Campbell said he was the guy that could do it. It didn't work. Granted, yes, we had a better record. But Dan Campbell said he wasn't a fit. So I'm going to trust Dan Campbell's judgment on this. Why? If you look at the type of offense that McDaniel run, it was more of a spread offense, less zone blocking, more a different blocking scheme that needed for the running backs to be able to be successful. And we don't have that talent yet on this roster. We would have to change our blocking schemes to fit McDaniels, whereas Petzing runs a zone blocking offense. He uses the 12 and 13 man personnel we like to use, the extra tight ends, the extra offensive linemen, all of that. I think it's going to be Seattle versus Patriots unless Denver's defense shuts New England down. And I'm going to leave it right there at that statement. If Denver's defense is the difference and Jared Stidham just manages the game, they can win this game. I think that one is the harder game to predict than Rams at Seahawks. Well, it's looking like if Decker doesn't retire, there was a rumor out there that we're going to let Decker go after June 1st to save $18 million. No, I'm not. Look at down the stretch with the Rams. They struggled to beat the Bears. They struggled to beat the Panthers in the playoffs. They had a losing record the last 5 weeks of the season. The pick sixes were happening. The only team they beat was us and a bad Arizona team who almost beat them in week 18. Then struggled against the Panthers. Bryce Young looked better than Matt Stafford in that game. Go look at the stats. That's why Allen to Carolina doesn't make sense. Allen to the Falcons makes sense. You put him with Stefanski, get them another interior lineman and a couple of defensive edge or tackle pieces, that defense becomes nasty. I only picked 2 winners that were wrong, and they were close. I didn't expect the Bills to beat the Jags, and I didn't expect the Rams to beat the Panthers. Other than that, I got all 8 other games so far in the playoffs right. 8-2. Sean Payton has the better coaches overall. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel. Josh McDaniel's a better OC, but they have the better DC over there. Vrabel is more has a rookie DC, but he does more of the defensive play calling. Josh McDaniels takes care of the offense. Because of McDermott being fired and the way that the GM and the owner is talking, that owner sounds like an idiot. He said in the presser when they fired McDermott, he agreed with McDermott that that interception that was questionable, that everybody thinks they got wrong, is what cost the Bills the game. Not admitting the 2 fumbles and the 2 interceptions before that was the bigger issue. There was a ton of key drops. Deion Coleman had a drop. Khalil Shakir had dropped. Brandon Cooks, he had drops, but that's nothing new. We've seen him drop plays and passes in playoffs before for other teams, including the Rams. They went away from James Cook in the second half, and I didn't understand that. They went away from running the ball with Cook, and I think that was the biggest problem. They felt like they were falling behind and went pass happy, and that O-line isn't as good as everybody thought it would be for Buffalo, and that defense got after Josh Allen. They pressured him enough to make mistakes. And I'm not saying Drake May is Josh Allen decision making, and I'm not saying that Josh McDaniel can't call the plays to mitigate it, because he can. All I know, 0-4 in Denver for New England in the playoffs. But 2 of those were John Elway, and the other 2, oh wait, no, 1 was Brock Osweiler, and 2 were Peyton Manning. Oh, he does. I just don't know if he makes it this year to the Super Bowl. That's all. They've got some key injuries. Mims is in and Sutton's in. That's their 1 and 2. But Franklin and the Ryan, I think his last name is out for the Denver Broncos. That's their 3 and 4 wide receivers. So you're going to see some of that. Well, Caleb did good for the Bears. I'm not going to knock him, but his accuracy is still an issue. We saw that come into play versus the Rams. He was airmailing stuff, trying to play hero ball. The 4th downs that they went for it, 2 of them equaled interceptions. 1 was batted down due to throwing into coverage. That's decision making, something I said he'd struggle with. Drake May is probably the better QB out of all of those. You know, I'm trying to stick to what that question here for a second, though, and I'll get back to yours, Gav. I think it's Drake May, Bo Nix, Caleb, in that order. Bo Nix looked like a good game manager with a little bit of athleticism, and he outplayed Josh Allen in that game. Josh Allen couldn't beat that defense. Bo Nix beat their defense. But that was to be expected. That defense struggled all year. The Buffalo defense isn't as good as everybody thought it would be. The Bears defense, if they're not getting turnover after turnover, that team can't win. So is Drake May. Oh, he did. But at the same time, he did stupid stuff too. Eight, eight late game comebacks they had. 8 of them. That's not sustainable. Yes, they are. They are from the same draft. Oh no, Drake May was last season. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, playing hero ball. Going for it on 4th down at the end of the game with no time left. The play clock, the time clock management came to bite them too. Look at how many plays they took too long, and they wasted some timeouts early in the drive. They could be, but at the same time, they're going to go up against a harder schedule than what they had this year. They had the 5th easiest schedule this year. Now they're going to have the 5th hardest. Last year, we had the 5th hardest, and now we're going to have the 5th easiest schedule. It's flipping. That's why I said we're going to win 10 plus next year. Bears fans are poo-pooing it, saying that didn't matter. But amen. That's exactly what I'm saying. Or you go 4-4 of those games. Remember, they were 11-5. You take those 4 away, they're 7-9. Or 7-10. 11-6 is what they were, right? 11-6. Yeah, because we beat them. So if you take those and turn that to 4-4, that's 7-10. What if they lost all 8? You know, there's all sorts of what ifs in there, but they didn't. Let's stick to what it is. They were 11-6. They won the North. Just like they told us the first year, do it again. Yeah, but if they'd have went 4-4 in those 8 games, if they'd have just lost 4 of them, they'd have been a 7-10 team. If they lost all 8, ooh, they'd have been 3-14. Look how it bit the Chiefs this year. Everybody said, "Oh, they look like they got better. They added pieces. They did this. They did that." Right. It's just like when we had Stafford with Caldwell that last time. Amen. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I got our window starting at 10 wins again next year. Is this we split in the division, we win the 3 bad games, and then do what we do all the time, which we've been winning better on the road than at home. Everybody says, "Oh, we do the home cooking." No. We've been better at home in bad years than we have been on the good years. The good years, we've had the better road record. Remember, we were 8-0 the previous season on the road. Amen. I agree. Well, we got to get the center position right, which if you can't get it in free agency, there's 3 I like, and I'm going to repeat them in order again. Parker Brailsford, Logan Jones, Pat Coogan. Any one of those 3 centers coming out of the draft, if we don't get one in free agency, I'm taking. If we get one in free agency on a 1-year deal, one of these older vets that are good. Oh, I love NMD. Oh. Oh, that's great. Well, because of this year, I'm only raising it one. Because we should be 10 wins automatically with what we got on this roster. We should have been 10 wins last year. There was a couple of questionable ones. I don't like blaming refs. You know, I'm not that guy. I don't like doing that. But at the same time, there was some calls that even analysts on the new DEI ESPN called out. Yep, I'm saying 10 to 13. That's where I'm at. And that's prior to the schedule coming out. But I'll narrow it down after the schedule comes out because I want to see where the toughened games line up, where the easy games line up, where it's at in the schedule, where the bye week lands matters. We saw this week bye week bit a couple teams this year, just like it did us the year before. No, I think it's more going back to something that's been going on since 1963. The NFL wants us to give up home field advantage in the Thanksgiving Day tradition. And I can't remember who, if that was Roselle or Taglaboo or whoever. Had to be Roselle was the commission at the time, and he approached William Clay for it after he bought it. Amen, Phil. Good to see you, brother. I am just waiting to see what happens. I want to see what the moves are. I want to see how this team builds this offseason. I want to see if we make some moves. AQM sounds like if they're not going to give him his market value, which Spot Track has it at 8.5 million, he's going to move on and look for it somewhere else. I personally, at 31 years old, when a defensive end skills usually diminish. All right, JI, have a good one. Be back on tomorrow, same time, brother. Be on fire up tonight with the South Florida Tribune, like always. Unless I get the horrible news about my uncle. Condition hasn't changed. No word as of yet. Anything? Yeah, we are getting a game overseas. I'm almost willing to bet we're going to be the home team in Germany, one of the Germany stadiums. It makes the most sense. St. Brown's mom is from Germany. She was in such a rush to come over from Germany to get married, she forgot her paperwork and almost didn't get in. But luckily, John Brown knew somebody from the immigration department and got the documents sent somehow and was able to keep her from being deported. And then they got married 2 weeks later. It's such a great story. You'll have to go watch that on the St. Brown podcast when they talked to the dad about it and the mom. It was a great story. I can't remember all the details exactly, but basically he knew somebody in immigration and had them approve it. Uh, Actually, what he said makes sense. The fans he's losing are the bandwagon fans that are going nuts because we didn't hire Mike McDaniel or Todd Monken or any one of those guys. We didn't hire who they wanted, and people are crying. And he's right. I said the same thing. And if I lose fans over it, I lose fans over it. I agree with him. If you guys say you lost trust in Dan Campbell, then fine. But don't forget. Oh, yeah, that's a 18-hour flight to get there for normal commercial flights, unless you can afford the concourse. You can cut it down to 6 hours, I think it is. Everybody's saying is poo-pooing on the fact that Dan Campbell hired Morton. They're forgetting he's the one that promoted Ben Johnson. And I don't understand how they don't think it'll work. I don't have time for a mock draft today because I went a little over what I wanted to. The tickets went up with the success of the team prior to the year, just like salaries go up, just like people are paid for their past performances instead of their current performances. It's why I've always said you should wait to the end of the contract year to do stuff, but people sit out and then don't play. They force your hand. And then when they have a down year, everybody poo-poos it, even if it's because of injury. I'm telling you right now, there's the season tickets are not going to go down. I haven't seen same old Lions behavior out except out of Lions fans. But again, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before. The only way to make the world a better place, it starts right here. Much love to everybody. I love the fact you're watching. I love the fact you're commenting. Make sure you hit the like on the way out. And if you're unsubscribing, you unsubscribe. I'm trying to grow, but I'm not going to sugarcoat how I feel and how I talk about it. I agree with it. Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I know a lot more fans that do than don't. Have a great day, everybody.
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.